in here in November because we're in a tower building here at 500 West 5th, where there are a lot of organizations that cater toward entrepreneurs. We have Winston Starts, we had them up to speak. They're an incubator for startup companies. We have had the Center for Private Business up to talk to us about what they do on the 3rd floor. And today we're really lucky to have Evelyn to talk to us about the NC Center for Cybersecurity. So Evelyn, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself and tell us about yourself and how you came to cybersecurity.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I love your Mr. Rogers Cup, Meet the Neighbors. That's great. This is a great idea to bring people together. And as you were speaking, it just dawned on me. I had started working in this building about a month ago. And before now, I had been a remote worker for 20 years. So I did not work with people. I worked from my office home with my pets in tow and my kids in tow, which is definitely an adjustment that I know a lot of people are going through right now. So how I got into cybersecurity, the company that I worked for back in 2007 that did remote working was a healthcare IT development company. And as we brought hospitals online, we made them very insecure as far as people being able to access their health records, that also made it accessible to hackers. So I pivoted to become a HIPAA security specialist. And then I pivoted all the way over to cybersecurity because HIPAA just wasn't enough for me. So, and I'm very happy to be the executive director of the North Carolina Center for Cybersecurity. A lot of folks don't realize we just opened our doors back in August of 2019. So just over 6 months, and the undergirding of the Cyber Center is with Winston Starts. And Winston Starts, as you mentioned, is an incubator for startup companies, but they have an interest in cybersecurity startups. They want to see more of that up and coming in this area. And the other side, the other co-founder is a company called ThreatSketch, and ThreatSketch is
Flywheel members.
Flywheel members. But also, ThreatSketch is a huge, they represent small governments, small businesses, and not-for-profits, 29 million across the US. So they've gone to Congress and spoken on behalf of all of these small entities that don't have the security in place, the cybersecurity in place, the infrastructure, the information that they need to keep their businesses safe. So ThreatSketch is heavily vested in small business. So those two companies coming together began the North Carolina Center for Cybersecurity, and the vision and the mission is behind workforce development. So last year, I believe the numbers came in at 300,000 empty seats for cybersecurity positions. And in 2021, I believe the number, I just got the freshest number, 3.5 million globally. So we have a definite lack in cybersecurity workforce, and the headquarters, we'd like for it to be here in North Carolina. And we want to create a workforce so strong and so heavily skilled and versed in cybersecurity that companies are banging down our doors in North Carolina to build up their businesses here. We have the infrastructure, we have the roads, we have the internet bandwidth here. We're ready, we have the space. So we would love to attract companies in this direction to build up our workforce and just fortify our cities.
Tell us a little more about who you serve in particular through your organization.
Yes, so the Cyber Center is building itself up organically. So one of the very first things we did was to put together a triad cybersecurity roundtable event where we invited business leaders, businesses like Honda Jet, SC Guarantee, Market America, Hanes Brands. They were all present, along with the academia. We had A&T, UNCG, FTCC, ECPI, all the academia here that have very strong cyber programs in place. So we put them all together in a room and we posed the question, where are we lacking in the workforce? We asked the business leaders, you have people in their seats. Are you promoting them? What's stopping you from promoting them to cybersecurity management positions? You have resumes in hand. What is missing off of those resumes, which is stopping you from building up your workforce? Why are you lacking? Why are you always looking for staff? It's a continual problem. And then we also had the academia in the room that said, we're producing top-notch cybersecurity students. Why aren't you hiring them? So there's a lot of tension in the room, but we need to get these groups together to figure out where are the gaps. Where are we missing the mark? So we determined from that meeting that it isn't necessarily the lack of education. It isn't necessarily the lack of certifications. We do believe it is more around soft skills in cybersecurity. So we actually have the business leaders that told us we would like to see better documentation skills, better reporting skills, better conflict resolution. And I do believe that that is an issue across the board for lots of people. It's not easy when you're thrown into a group and you have to work together to solve problems. You have different age groups, different backgrounds, different technological skills. So a lot of those things are problems, as well as being the interpersonal skills. So if that's where we need to start, we'll start there. So what we've done is we've asked UNCG and FTCC to come up with a program called Soft Skills for Cybersecurity. So we're going to release a certification program that will give you the backing of the businesses and the backing of the academia to say that you have gone through proper training in order to be placed into the workforce, and something to put on your resume, that you've gone the extra mile to ensure that you have the communication skills, that you're able to send emails, you know how to take notes in a meeting, and then walk away with some action items to improve security, and also to improve your eligibility into getting to the next level. I hear all the time from people approach me at the Cyber Center and say, Evelyn, I've been passed over. They're hiring other people around me. How do I get to the next level? And so, and one of the first things I always hear is, I don't have this. I don't have that. I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't have a degree, or I don't have the certification. And I think the important thing is, much like you're trying to do here at Flywheel, is networking. One of the great things that we've seen come from the Cyber Center is the meeting before the meeting. Having everyone in the room just talking to each other. And I know of a majority of the cybersecurity staff or the companies around here and who's in their seats. And I just start introducing them to each other. And it's amazing what happens just out of networking and conversation. So part of the chapter meetings that we've implemented is some of the soft skills coming to fruition, having conversations, getting out of your, it's so easy just to want to go home after you've dealt with security issue after issue, ticket after ticket, my computer's not working, I'm, rebuilding a machine. You just want to go home and pull the covers over your head. But it's so important, if you want to make it to the next level, to put in the time and effort in communicating, networking, building your soft skills, building your network. Do you have a question?
Yeah, endorsed by the academics and the corporates. Is there an online component to that? And do you do like micro-credentialing, or do you give paper certificates? Like, how does that work?
I don't know what micro-credentialing is. That sounds awesome.
Okay.
I'm here, right? Somebody write that down. So I haven't determined exactly if it's going to be just online or just in person. So with soft skills, another component to that soft skills certification is I've asked a local company called Tech Systems. They help with resumes. I've actually asked them if they would come and sponsor our program and do some tabletop sessions where we can do a mock interview. What would you hear? I've asked the business leaders to come in and say, what kind of questions do you ask during a resume? Because they're scared. They want to practice. Can we have some of those questions? What are the expectations? So that we can actually do some of that back and forth and just be in a room together. So you'll lose some of that if we just do it online. But we also want to be accessible to everybody that wants to be part of the program. So I haven't determined which way, but what is micro-credentialing?
It's a way that you can issue a digital badge with evidence of what the student has done to accomplish that badge, a narrative of the curriculum, and then either, if you have an online learning management system, it can follow along, show their homework, show their all of their writings and results as evidence of having completed that program. And then they can attach that to their LinkedIn, for example.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So that's really good. Now I went as far as to create a certificate, and I put Rob Arnold's name on it, our CEO over at Threat Sketch. And we do plan on issuing a certificate for each soft skill. So, one will be communications and one will be, conflict resolution.
We should talk afterwards. I can show you our learning management system. We have a number of courses, and we're developing those micro-credentials or digital badges to roll along with them.
Awesome.
And I would love to learn from you how you got all of the academics and the corporates signed on to the curriculum, because I'd like to replicate that from our courses.
Okay, no, that would be absolutely wonderful. And we won't be stopping there. We actually also have, and I'm wondering, we're going to be producing some white papers as well from the same groups. So I've been asked by UNCG to survey the business leaders, well, not the business leaders, but the cybersecurity leaders in this area. They want to produce a 3-part survey that will give folks that can't afford cybersecurity programs at the moment. There's a lot of businesses out there that cannot afford cybersecurity, and they're at high risk. But to put together an itemized list of what's most important. If you don't have the staff or the program or the tools or whatever, we're going to survey them to put together an itemized list of where to start. If you have nothing, start here. And that's going to be produced by North Carolina, and hopefully it'll be an ongoing series of white papers. And so the business leaders are excited to get their name on the white paper, and the schools here are excited to put something out so that everybody can use, that the community can just pick up and take and use right then and there. We have some extremely advanced cybersecurity professionals in this region. One of them last night, I was watching him as he gave us insight into his pandemic response program. He's the only one that I know that has that, and he's willing to share it. He's been working on that for 3 years. And so when his executive said, hey, where's our pandemic response program? He said, here it is. He was ready. So I'm willing to give him a platform anytime he opens his mouth. And what's interesting is he's so busy, but every time I ask him for something, he's like, absolutely, Evelyn, whatever you need. So we have people that are willing to give back to this community. We have several folks like that. As a matter of fact, our FBI agent for this region over cybersecurity, his name is Special Agent Adam Schultz. He came here and did our very first chapter meeting because it's important to know your FBI agent before you're hit with ransomware. You should know his name. It's Adam Schultz. He is willing to help you. And he actually spoke for me at another event saying, how to engage with the FBI before, during, and after a cyber event. When do you need to call him? What happens if you call them? He's trying to dispel, if we're a business and we have a cyber event, if I call the FBI, am I going to get in trouble? Is my job on the line? Are they going to go to the press? You don't know. You don't know those, and they won't. You can actually come in, he shared with us, he can come in and say, I'm asking for a friend, and just have a conversation, and he'll coach you through that because he knows that people are scared to approach with that kind of information. They don't want their investors to start, asking questions and pulling out money, and, they're worried about their jobs. So we're trying to dispel some fear there as well. So that's a great question. I'd love to speak to you about that. We need those types of tools. Yeah.
And we've made a connection.
We made a connection.
We're done. Have a nice day. That's exactly why we do these events is, you ask a question and then you find out something that you need, and you found out something that you need. I know you've been working hard on this, on making that fit together and work. So yeah, so glad we're doing this. Terrific. So while we're on questions, does anyone else have a question? Someone?
Teddy submitted a question. He says,
Sure.
how can employers and employees find the various programs available to them? What is the best source to follow for more info or ideas?
For cybersecurity, I'm guessing cybersecurity programs. Well, one of the things I'm doing with the community, so the North Carolina Center for Cybersecurity is one organization. We also have ISSA, which I'm the president of the triad for that group, which is a small cyber group. We also have
What does ISSA stand for?
ISSA stands for Information Security Systems Association.
Got
it. And then we have ISC squared. It's along the line. They actually do a certification, which is like the gold standard for cybersecurity management professionals. And so we also have B-Sides, which is a new group here. We have ISACA. We have Women's Cyber Jitsu. So there's a lot of different groups around here. And I've been working with them to see how can we work together. Let's not work against each other. Even to the point where we're looking at our calendars and determining, who's having the next conference. Also, I like to invite them in so that they can talk about their group and what they're doing and what they have to offer. So the other thing is we have colleges like FTCC. They've been endorsed by the NSA, the National Security Agency, as a center of excellence. So you can go to that school and be ensured that you have an excellent cybersecurity program under your belt from the associate's level. And then we have UNCG. There's all sorts of colleges and programs around here, so it can be daunting to figure out where you want to start. So, it's imperative to join one of these groups. It's imperative, if someone wants to come to me and say, this is where I'm starting, where should I go? I would say join. If you're brand new, start with ISSA or NCCC. If you have a great technical background, ISC squared or ISACA would be good. If you're a woman wanting to transition from either a technical background or zero technical background whatsoever, work from home or a stay-at-home mom, that is a great group because the women just embrace you and they're like, okay, this is where you are, bam, they put you on a program to get started. SANS, which is, I don't know what they stand for, but they have a group for women who do not have any sort of technical background. They have a free program where you can get an excellent education. So there's so much out there. It's amazing. There's so many entryways. And then also in May 11th, I believe, we have a chapter meeting coming up. And it's the person that runs cybersecurity from Krispy Kreme.
Oh.
I'm gonna ask if we can have donuts. They've already told me I can have. They've told me I can have all the donuts I want. So I may hold them to that. But the guy that runs cybersecurity there, in his spare time, he wrote a program that gives. So he wrote a program that has 5 different buckets. If you want to get into cybersecurity, he can put you in one of those 5 tracks no matter where you are and get you on a plan of action. So there's just so many ways. So I guess you could come to, if you know nothing, you could come to me at the Cyber Center and I can point someone in the right direction. When it comes to different businesses as well, you could come to the Cyber Center, and I'm very well connected with most of the companies around here, the MSPs, which are managed service providers, MSSPs. We have managed security service providers. There's IT groups. One of the things that the Cyber Center does want to focus on is creating a mapping of all of the resources in North Carolina. So, you know, just like, I guess, Yelp for restaurants, you'll be able to go on and figure out, okay, I've been hit. Where do I need? Hopefully that's not why you're online for the first time looking for cyber help, but it does happen quite often. Hopefully you'll be looking for programs or education sessions to help.
So going back to the program that you're developing for soft skills, how would people qualify for that? Who's eligible for that program? Have you determined all of that yet, or are you still kind of working?
We haven't determined that yet. I believe that any member of the NCCC, which is a low cost, $125 for the year. And you can come to the chapter meetings, dinner is served as well. You'll be able to participate in that program either for free or at a low cost. You know, one of the things we're trying to do is get some sponsorships from the local companies that want to invest in the workforce. So they'll be able to send their employees here or just people that want to get extra certifications, or, you know, maybe you would like to be more confident or have something else to put on your resume to set you apart. I would want it to be open to anyone that wants to come.
Okay. And what kind of careers are available to people in cybersecurity? Some of us here, oh, I'm in cybersecurity, and we don't quite know what that is. And maybe there are some people watching who have always thought it was interesting, but maybe they're not sure they're the right type of person to be in.
You're the right type. We need everybody. You know, one of the interesting things that I was saying before, you know, a lot of people come to me and say, I don't have this background, or I haven't worked in this environment, or IT scares me, or whatever. One of the advantages the hackers have over us is they're working together. They have nation states behind them with the best tools. They have built, you know, they are lacking no tools, no skills, and they're working together. Matter of fact, if you have any kind of visibility into the dark web, you can see them working together in forums and groups. We need to get it together as a community. We need to support each other and help each other find ways into cybersecurity. So coming to one of the sessions like Mike at Krispy Kreme is going to hold here would be a great way to just come and listen. Joining one of these associations for $125, I think ISSA as well is $125 a year. ISC Square just lowered theirs to, I believe, $50 a year. You know, just to make the entryway easier so that you can come in and listen and talk to people. So as far as cybersecurity jobs, they're across the board, you know, just from answering tickets from a help desk perspective, there's that. From a cyber operations center perspective, you could be, if you're someone that likes to look at lots and lots of logs and determine if there's any kind of a threat coming into the network, that's one area. You could be in a management role where maybe you aren't so technical, but you could be managing people in those technical roles. That's an area to start. Lots of folks in the military are interested in cyber. There's free programs at FTCC, Forsyth Technical Community College, for veterans. So they can go there, sign up, and take NSA-backed classes for free. So, you know, there's just so many ways. You just have to get involved, start networking, and figure out where you might land. I'm trying to think of some other areas. There's threat hunting. So threat hunting is actually searching the dark web, looking for chatter that reveals what the bad guys are planning to do to us. So for example, before our session here,
Speaking of the dark.
speaking of the dark web, I actually went on one of the companies I work with is called Flashpoint, and they provide intelligence reports to large companies. And some of the things that they just released specifically about the coronavirus was some coronavirus themed malware. So there are cybersecurity groups reported on a malware cocktail composed of coronavirus ransomware, and it is data stealing malware. So attackers created a website that resembles Windows utility site. So you may think that you're going onto your computer and doing an update or something in the utility area, and you're actually installing ransomware into your machine.
So that could be really dangerous for people who are maybe working from home for the first time in a long time, right? I know a lot of companies have been sending their employees home. Maybe you've worked for a really large company for years and you've had your IT department to depend on, and now you're working from home. Chances are they have you on a VPN and you're safe. But for some of us working from home, we don't have that. And so that certainly sounds like something we would want to look out for and not click on as we're looking for more information.
Absolutely. And on top of that, over 135 colleges are now online.
Yeah.
So, and threat actors are definitely taking advantage of that. Just as, the first issue with taking people and working from home is the accessibility. So, one of the things that I learned in that pandemic response presentation I heard last night was, businesses need to categorize at this moment who is critical, who's the critical staff that I need to have online and safe working. You may be someone, you may not feel important because you didn't get a laptop and you're not working from home, but it's important to the company's health and well-being. If it's not safe for you to be online at home, don't do it. Don't get on, just wait, have some patience with your IT department. They're overwhelmed. I've talked to a few MSPs, managed service providers that are like, Evelyn, I can't talk to you right now. We are trying to help people get stood up at home so that their companies can continue working. So accessibility is a huge issue at the moment. And then they are releasing information on remote work cyber risks. So the threat actors are going to take every opportunity. One of the things that I did see were misinformation being spread through chat apps. So apps like WhatsApp or what are some of the other, or Messenger, you could see some headlines that say, here are ways to protect yourself, and they're not. They are from threat actors just trying to get you to click on things that you shouldn't be clicking on. Don't click on anything. Please don't click on anything. You can go to this, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. You can go to Johns Hopkins. They're actually releasing, I worked with Johns Hopkins well over 15 years ago when they started doing infection control tracking within the hospital. They have a lot of good information on what you should be doing and who's sick and how many how many cases there are. That's a great place to look rather than just clicking on information, because the threat actors are really good at putting websites up that look real, but they're not.
Amazing. So if it says that this is from the CDC, maybe go to the CDC website and look for it instead of clicking on the article.
Do your company some favors. Click on anything, please. It can save a lot of trouble and heartache.
Yeah, that's really good information. But I've seen the Johns Hopkins map that they have, kind of a heat map tool that has been really, really helpful to me. Even tracking into Europe, because I have family that's supposed to go there this summer, and keeping track of what's going on there in real time, while we're here, and not depending on false information or rumor or innuendo from other sources, but going straight there and seeing what's really, really happening on the ground. So that's been, that Johns Hopkins site has been outstanding. I've used that myself.
Yes,
that's
very good.
Great advice for folks. So something you told me earlier about kind of getting on people was the different types of people that companies are looking for. You said
Oh.
about that these types of people are good at this, and they might not have thought, like,
Yeah, one of
You
the
recall
most,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely. Thanks for bringing that back up because this is really insightful to people, to hear, I think, or interesting for people to hear with different degrees and backgrounds. So one of the things that the business leaders told us during our collaborative summit was that they may not necessarily be looking for you to have a cybersecurity degree. A lot of those things didn't exist until recently. One of the things we were told is that people with music degrees are excellent for working in a security operations center because they are very good at finding anomalies within a large amount of data. So they can actually look at huge data sets and find where the real threats are. They just are naturally good at that. I don't know if it's
from reading the notes.
reading the notes. I can't read music at all or sing or play anything, so that fascinates me. Also history majors. History majors, one of the biggest things, you think, oh, I'm gonna get into cybersecurity, I'm gonna be in front of a computer, but you're writing reports, you're documenting any changes you make to computers have to be documented, and those, it's called change control. You have to keep up with those things, change management, being able to go and write up some historical information on what the company has gone through to help in future cases is vital. So if you are a history major, I know some companies around here that would be interested in talking to you. So it's really important to work with a company like Tech Systems or a recruiting company that's interested in looking at your resume or coming to one of these groups where you'll meet people that are hiring and just ask, this is my background. What are my chances? Where do I start? It's really interesting to hear the responses.
That is really interesting. I found that out from working here too. We have a lot of development professionals fundraising. So, and we've run some coding classes, and it was interesting to me. Sort of the same story was I thought, well, I'm probably not a candidate for a coding class, but if you're a voracious reader, you're a candidate for coding. There are certain types of people that you don't think are necessarily suited. Creative people are really, really, and I would think of myself as a creative of not being good at that. So it's just was really eye-opening. Sometimes we have to think outside the box. And in this economy going forward, and we may have some job loss due to COVID, that it's wonderful to hear from you that you have such a workforce development focus, that this is a possibly, a new turn for people, that they might be able to retrain and discover a new career and a new opportunity for themselves that they maybe never thought was possible for them before. So that's really, really exciting in our local community, especially that to be nationwide and be the leader here in North Carolina and Winston-Salem for cybersecurity all over our country. Really fantastic. What else do you want to share with us that we haven't hit on?
One of the very exciting things that we have coming to the Cyber Center, we are talking with a company called CrowdWatch, or Sea-Watch, but it stands for CrowdWatch. And this company does cybersecurity for sporting events like the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. And they actually came and spoke at our last chapter meeting. And so while they do real live cybersecurity for the Olympics and other sporting events, it is a workforce development program. So you can sign up and begin to become one of the groups. So it's kind of like Neighborhood Watch for cybersecurity. So the groups will actually work on an event and do threat intelligence. They'll actually look in the dark web and see, are there any websites stood up that are not real for Tokyo, for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics? Are there credentials out there? Are there, I just saw one for Sam's Club. They're putting out, because I'm a Sam's Club shopper, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta watch, my emails coming from Sam's Club. So you can look through all that information and look through the logs and see what security threats are there and then report it to each other. And so by doing that, you're increasing the security awareness, but you're also getting real life hands-on training. Now, you do have to have a mentor over you so that you know what to do and how to do it. You work all the way from policies and procedures, which is just as important as knowing, when a threat is triggered. Policies, procedures, reports, follow-up, and how to report these things, and working on a team. You're just going to get everything. So we're extremely excited about bringing the CrowdWatch program into the Cyber Center.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's a good thing to put on your resume. And then also what has spawned out of that is some of the CrowdWatch groups have been hired on by companies. So it's just it's another way of bringing workforce development into the center.
Do we have any other questions that have come up from the crowd or round table? Any questions from Instagram?
What is one tip that you would recommend for someone that just doesn't understand any of this? Like my grandmother, what is one tip that I can share with her to protect herself when she's on Facebook, or that's all that she really does. So,
okay. So Facebook. So I know you've probably seen where your friends will post, "Don't accept a request for it's not me, it's somebody else."
Yeah.
Or if I know I've gotten the request like Ray-Bans, like my friend's selling Ray-Bans. My friend is not selling Ray-Bans now. That's not happening. Let those people know. You can also report those things, but making sure that her password is safe and that she doesn't share it with anyone. I have an uncle that, somebody said, "Hey, I'm taking over your computer, pay me money." And he did it. I'm like, there was no threat here. Like, where's the threat? All you do is just tell them no. So if you're looking out for aging parents or grandparents, maybe just say, "Have you updated your Facebook lately? Have you updated your password? Are you getting any weird emails or threats? If so, let me take a look at it," and just kind of look over their shoulder. And then, there's one thing about being super relaxed. And then one of the things that Special Agent Schultz shared with me is that they get a lot of requests from aging people that think that they're being watched. They think, it's the other end. It's, and he'll do his best to assure them, "No, you're fine. There's nobody watching you," or, if you get a weird email. So even look out on that end too, and just assure people that they are safe. Or if they do think that they're not safe, well, what is it that someone's trying to target? Are they trying to get into your bank? Okay, well, let's call the bank and see if you're safe, and just kind of follow the trail and put people's minds at ease, because, panic and worry, as well as being overly lax is an issue as well.
Right. Okay. Anything else from the gallery? Well, I think we'll end a little early today. Typically, our Indeavor lunches are about an hour and a half. We eat lunch together. We share around the table. And we're going to expand on that as we go through this process and go through these lunches, retool and kind of see what works and what doesn't. Let us know what you enjoyed, what you didn't, any advice, suggestions you might have for us as we move forward. I know there's a lot of experts out there in Facebook Live and Zoom, and we look forward to, as a community, sharing with one another how to get through this this new digital frontier and opportunity we find ourselves in to all learn new skills. I know at home, I have two teachers, a daughter that's a teacher and a husband that's a teacher, and they both have to teach online now. And so they've been, working on their security and working on their skills in order to be able to present the best way possible for their students. And as a co-working community, as an entrepreneurship community, as a small business community, We look forward to all of us working together to help each other get their businesses out, get the word out, get their organizations out there in a time that we have reduced face-to-face contact. So thank you so much for taking the time
Thanks
to
for
do
having
this with
me.
us today, and thanks for our online audience, and thanks for our real live audience who are totally practicing social distancing right now, I can promise you. And hand washing and all of that. Keep it up. Join us next time. We look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.